Good morning, Bucknutters. It's Tuesday, May 10th, 2016. I'm Dan Rubin. This is the Bucknuts Morning 5 and Change. It's Tuesday, so I'm joined by Duane Long. I'm not going to talk about the weather here because there's no point in talking about the weather when it's gray every day, because that's not weather, that's gray. What we are going to talk about is recruiting, and we've come through a nice little stretch here. Had the Nike camp in Columbus. We were all over that. Hope you got a chance to see some of the coverage that Steve Wiltfong and Steve Hellwagon and Bill Kurlick worked tirelessly to put out there. Some very good stuff and some very interesting stuff. But today we're going to talk about Duane's Super 7. So Duane, how are you this fine morning?
Oh, I'm all excited. I'm ready for the season to start after spring. It just reinvigorated me. Loved what I saw out there. Lots of young guys running around making plays. Looking forward to this fall. Just extremely, it's seeing these new guys. It really does something for me.
Right on. I'm not going to waste much time this morning. We're going to get started with Duane's list. This is the Super 7. This is the 7 guys Duane wants in the class. I'm not going to waste time, as I said. I'm going to give you number 1, lay it out there, and Duane's going to explain to you why dude should be in the class. Number 1, Jeffrey Okudah, safety out of Texas.
He is a superstar in the making. I remember last year I was so disappointed in the safety class, and then I started hearing his name and a few other guys like Pryor, who's already in the class. And so I started looking at their films, and I said, these guys are better than the senior class already. They're exceptional. And Okudah, a freaky athlete. Absolutely. I've seen him do some things, just explode off the field and go up and get a ball. He's a smart football player. He's fast. He tackles. He does it all. To me, it's a need position. I think that we've got better, but we don't have that depth that we have everywhere else, it seems, even on the offensive line. We don't have so many guys that we can plug in there and expect the same kind of production. He is number 1 to me, no question about it. The one guy in the class that if we could only have one guy, if we only had one spot left, I'd save it for Okudah.
Yeah, he's an impressive dude. They've had issues with safety. I think they've solved that with the youngsters they got in there, but it's certainly not a position. If you look at the Buckeyes roster, it's certainly not a position of strength relative to the others. Number 2, running back, Cam Akers. Why'd you choose him? And that would put him as the 2nd running back, or 3rd possibly, 6th round, along with J.K. Dobbins.
Akers is a game changer. I look at the backs we've got, and I'm not including the recruits, but just the backs at Ohio State, and I see really good backs, but I don't see that great back that can do what Zeke did for us, which is make the defense come up to the line of scrimmage and open things up over the top, still pound away at it and get yardage. I love what I've seen out of Akers. I think Antonio Williams is probably the best back on the roster right now. Akers can come in and play right away. I believe that, and, again, it's being great at running back, continuing that tradition. I mean, look at what we've had. We went from Hyde straight into Zeke, and right now, I don't think you can have 2 better representatives for the running back position at Ohio State. I mean, right there in the NFL, they're going to be a focal point of their offenses. Carlos Hyde is probably going to have to carry the 49ers for a while, and Zeke behind that offensive line in Dallas. I mean, there's people projecting he's going to get 2,000 yards. So I want a guy that can do that again. I want a guy that can go in the top 15 in the NFL draft again, and I see that in Akers.
I agree. This is a bit of an abstract point, but we've talked about all the ways Ohio State has gotten great marketing. through the public and through other avenues this year, for example, the NFL draft. Another one this year is going to be what you and I refer to as fantasy football, because if Hyde and Elliott go 1-2 in the draft, I wouldn't be surprised. I know that sounds ridiculous, but talk to me when we get there. Okay, one of my personal faves from my neck of the woods. You are a little bit higher on than everybody else, but everyone else is very high on him. Defensive end Chase Young out of Powerhouse to Napa in the DMD.
What you need in the modern game of football, college and pro level, is guys that impact the passing game. Quarterbacks, receivers, cover guys, and especially defensive ends. You've got to make the quarterback uncomfortable. Keep that up. We've had some guys here, and I look at him as the best rush end I saw, even in last year's class. I love the guy. He's long. I love the explosive first step. He's going to beat a lot of tackles right off the snap.
He's just,
to me, the perfect defensive end. You want a guy that's long out there on the edges. Whether it's offensive tackle or defensive end, you want guys with reach. I love his relentlessness. He's got a really great motor. Chase Young, absolutely. Love that kid. I am, to me, number one end in the country.
All right, Duane. At the same stage, who is better, Chase Young or Noah Spence?
Oh, I'd still have to go with Spence. As much as I love Young, there's just something different. I watched offensive tackles futilely trying to stop Noah Spence. They couldn't get a hand on him. He was that quick off the snap, and he was a good technician. And I don't think we see that out of Young just yet. He's just going on pure athletic ability.
If people forget, when he was here, Noah Spence was considered a better player than Joey Bosa at the time. I'm not saying that would have been the same thing had they finished out their careers together, but that was pretty much an accepted fact. Number 4, we have had Jeffrey Okudah, Cam Akers, and Chase Young. The fourth prospect Duane believes should be a member of the class of 2017, get one of those final spots. Defensive back, Lamont Wade, out of the Pittsburgh area.
Well, again, players that impact the passing game. And he's a tough kid. Yeah, he's a little bit to the smaller side. But, we see 5'9" cornerbacks being effective in the NFL. It's not unusual. So I love the toughness. He's a really good athlete. He's very fast, quick feet. There's not a lot to like. I mean, if he's 2 inches taller, he's probably the number one corner in the class. That's the only thing that the negative about him. But I love his film. Love the way he plays the game. And there's never too many of those guys that can just stand out there on an island and cover people. And I was talking on the message board with somebody when we were talking about Wade. You can line him up. Not every receiver out there on the other side of the ball is 6'3". You can get him into the slot position. Let a guy like Lattimore, who is physically a good matchup for that taller guy, let him play that guy. You can put him in situations where he's not always lined up against a much bigger guy. So Lamont Wade, just love his game. I want to keep the pipeline going. We've got great cornerbacks here. We've got a really outstanding cornerback tradition at Ohio State. Just put a guy in the NFL draft, first rounder, top 10, and I think Gary Conley's the next one, and we're probably going to lose him. So let's get some more guys in here and just keep this going. We've got nice depth at cornerback and talented depth, and this guy can add to it.
Yeah, professional PR-wise, Brad Roby, his reputation in the league is very strong right now. That's going to be a rich Buckeye. You can see a trend developing here. You're fifth in the group of 7. Another defensive back, this time out of Cincinnati Colerain. Amir Lee.
The kid is. I watched this film and I can't believe that I was just seeing him maybe 6 months ago. outstanding athlete, long athlete. I don't know if he's going to be a corner, Dan. I didn't see that the feet and the hips that he's going to be able to turn and run with receivers, elite receivers. If he can, great, because you want to be bigger at corner. I'm sure they're going to try him first at cornerback, but he's perfectly a great fit at safety. Again, we're getting into the add talented depth. I think he can play here. Love his game, and I think he's going to be a Buckeye soon. I would not be surprised if he's next. Something just tells me that we're going to get him not too distant future.
I like your vibe there, and I agree. Here's where it's going to get interesting. So, as you can tell, so far we've done 5 dudes, 3 defensive backs, a defensive end, and a running back. So we know 2 of the positions that they're recruiting heavily are still talking to guys at a quarterback and kind of the wide receiver, offensive slot. So your first guy on here, Trevon Grimes, the longtime target out of St. Thomas Aquinas in Fort Lauderdale, the bigger receiver.
He's one of the top 5 in the country. I've been looking at the receiver class recently. There are 4 or 5 guys that I've seen that are just head and shoulders above everybody else. He's big. He's physical. I watch him. If you watch his film, he's really out there running around, and people are trying to. It's almost like he looks like a tight end out there. He's a big kid, and you want these kind of guys. You want big receivers. The bigger, the better. The guy's 6'3", he's over 200 pounds. You throw it up and let him go get it. And he's very good at that. Great hands. Has a good sense for the end zone. He gets near it, he's going to get in it. And he's been a Buckeye lean forever. So it's a position we've tried to restock, split in. Wasn't looking so good when Meyer got here. Now it's okay. How can we find enough balls for these guys? And the Grimes he's one that can get in there and compete against the other guys that we've got there right now.
Agreed. And while you need big receivers, you also need guys who can take it and house it from anywhere on the field, and that's Tyjon Lindsey, your 7th and final member of the class.
Well, it's what you said. This is a guy that can change a game with a single touch. Absolutely explosive guy. I know the argument is that we've got a few guys there, but I don't think any of them are in Lindsey's class. He's another level. He's the kind of guy you look at and say, well, I hope we can keep him here for his whole career. You don't redshirt him because you're not gonna get 4 years out of him. He just looks like that kind of a talent. You take those guys, as many of them as you can get. Game changer right there.
Yeah, I mean his film it makes you come out of your seat, make the hair in the back of your neck stand up. So he's a take. What's interesting here is the guys we didn't have in there. To me, it's 2 quarterbacks and 2 wide receivers. Obviously, there's not another quarterback in year 7, which means there would be only 1 quarterback in the class, and Danny Clark. Kellen Mond and Tate Martell, 2 guys who are dominating the Bucknuts airwaves currently, would not be in the class based on your Super 7.
It's just about need. Dan, we don't have a big class. If we get to 20, we're going to be lucky. Trying to get to 20 and taking 2 quarterbacks, especially when look at what we've already got. And then we're looking at the Jerkovic, who everything is sounding beautiful for in the next class. It just, as good as they are, and I love them both, and I would celebrate either one of them coming in, Mond or Martell. It's still a matter of being wise in your selections. We can't leave something out that we might need for another quarterback in class when we already have 2 and we've got decent depth. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to take a quarterback. If you just want to go best athlete available, of course they would be in there. But I believe in filling needs, and we've got some other things that we really need. And you only play 1 quarterback at a time. Unless he's hurt, you're only going to see somebody else in mop up. So, you any of the other guys that I've said here, they've got a chance to play, even if we've got an All-American at their position. One quarterback's going to play, and I just think our depth is good enough that we can say, now if something happens and Clark's not a part of this class, well, you fill a slot with a quarterback, no doubt about it. But I just don't see the real need, as good as those guys are, to take one of them.
It is interesting if you sit and plot out the years of, will Barrett leave after this year, and then Burrow takes over, and then have the Haskins successor plan, figuring in Martell, Ormond, and then a Jerkovic. It can get a little crowded, but these are excellent issues to have. Gluttony of excellent QBs. I'm sure there's many places that we wish to have these Ohio State first program problems. And the other two guys who are two receivers types, one I don't think is expected to come here based on his choice, and another, it may be a domino effect, of Donovan Peoples-Jones and Jalen Harris.
I just don't believe Peoples-Jones is going anywhere but Michigan. He's at Michigan. He's got Michigan running through his blood. He's lived in Michigan. That's where he played in high school ball. I think he's going to talk a good game, but I don't really think so. If I thought he was definitely coming to, he would come to Ohio State. If I really believe that, I would actually have him on there in front of Grimes. I think he's the top receiver in the country.
Interesting.
But I don't think he's coming to Ohio State. I don't think he's going anywhere with Michigan.
Jalen Harris.
Jalen Harris, you know what? There's a couple of things with him. One, I don't know if he's going to be a wide receiver. I don't know if he's going to be a split end in college. He's a big kid, and he's got a lot of room to fill out. I could see him filling out into a tight end. The other thing is, I'm just not sure he's, especially if you add Grimes. You got Gibson. You got Mack. Those guys are just another level. What's that?
Ben Victor.
And I was going to mention Ben Victor too. Those guys that split in, I just don't think he's as good as those guys are. I don't think he can beat anybody out. So between the two factors, the possibility that he's going to grow into a tight end, and that he's just not the same level as the guys we've recruited in the last couple of years, I just don't see him as part of the class. And I would be surprised if we get Grimes, I'd be surprised if he comes here. I really would. I think we'll look somewhere else.
We had that in the boarding house yesterday. I agree. If it does look like Grimes and Harris could be the domino or a reverse domino effect. It does mean some team in the Midwest likely to get a very good receiving option in Jalen Harris, which is kind of a shame, but that's the way it works. So, Bucknutters, do you agree with Duane's 7? Do you agree with the logic? Should there be a quarterback in there? Should you have guys switched up? Get in the thread, put in your 7. Let us know what you think about his choices. Make sure you're also sticking around today. We've started to do chats with a staffer Monday through Thursday. Today will be Alex Gleitman. So make sure you get in there and ask Alex all the questions you can. Let's have a good one, Bucknutters.